Coming into yesterday's Penguins-Flyers matchup, the Penguins found themselves a point behind the Panthers and out of the last wildcard spot. So certainly an important game, but it was also important for another reason. It marked Kris Letang's 1,000th game in the NHL. Now, Kris Letang has been through a lot on and off the ice. Like I covered in a video earlier this year, he had another stroke earlier in the season, and soon after his father passed away. So yeah, been a rough year, and the idea in general that he would ever play in his 1,000th game has at a few points in his career looked pretty unlikely. But he has battled through a ton, and making it to 1,000, the Penguins gave him the Penguins treatment. If you've watched the Penguins in the past, they have a tradition. Like they did with Crosby in his 1,000th game, and like they did with Malkin earlier this year, they all wore Letang's sweater, and then copied Letang's entire warm-up as a team, which again is just fantastic. It's such a great tradition in my opinion, and it's always hilarious to see a group of men on the ice doing what looks like some kind of synchronized fitness class or something. The ceremony itself was also awesome to see, as you would expect. Letang, his family, fantastic all around. Now as for the game, the Battle of Pennsylvania is one I'll always tune in for. Early on, there was some great chances on both ends, but the first didn't come until roughly the 8-minute mark. Dumo to Raquel blasts one way off net, and yet somehow it goes in. This one went off the back glass, came back off of the goalie in such a wild bounce, but it put the Penguins up by 1. 3 minutes later, and on the power play now, Crosby to Malkin fakes, and Raquel, with his second of the period, redirects it home. Then on the other end, Konechny almost had one, but it just stayed out, as that was it for the first, and we head over to the second. In a period where the Flyers definitely had the better chances early, but the Smith, in what was great to see as a Pens fan, stood tall back there, and just as we passed the midway point of the game, Crosby and Rust broke out. Over to Rust, who came down forehand, backhand, and scores as the Penguins take a 3-goal lead into the third. Which, if you've been following the Penguins this year, not exactly a comfortable place to be. Sure enough, the Penguins would turn it over behind their net, D'Angelo to Delorier, and the Flyers put one on the board and were now just 2 behind. Then on the power play, they cycle it, rip one off the post, pick it up, and another huge stop by DeSmith as it goes blocker, paddle, and out, as the Penguins seem to finally get some puck luck going this game. Then as we neared the end of the game, the Flyers with the empty net in the Penguins' end, some great passing, Fairby to Frost, and Konechny finishing it off as the Flyers threaten the comeback. However, despite that, Poehling was able to ultimately seal the deal with the empty netter as the Penguins, holding on, take this one 4-2 in what was a fun game. Again, as a Penguins fan, having been able to see the three-headed monster in Crosby, Malkin, and Letang all these years has been truly a privilege, and it was great to see the guys get it done for Letang's 1,000th. That's it for this one though. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.